want to tell everybody what we're doing today?
So we're installing the Brake Buddy Stealth, which is going to be the braking system for our RV setup. So right now I'm just looking at where I can install the main component here, which is
14.5 inches long.
Yeah.
Should fit under a seat normally, but it does not fit under our seats.
Yeah. Yep. So just brainstorming to see where else this could live and be out of the way.
Josh, you know that's not how you drive a car, right? We've mentioned a few times that we bought the Brake Buddy Stealth system as our supplemental braking system for the Jeep, and today we're going to show you kind of the overall installation and why we chose that system. So we really liked that it doesn't have to be removed, so if you get into kind of a sticky situation while you're towing the Jeep, you actually can get in and just disconnect it really quickly from the tow bar, and you don't have to take the braking system out and then put the braking system back in. So the Stealth stays in the Jeep all the time, and it has a little control module that's just permanently mounted, and then it has a mechanical connection to the brake that's always there, but it doesn't get in the way of driving the Jeep just like normal. So we really like it. It is not an amateur install that I would recommend. We undertook this installation because Josh has a lot of experience working inside vehicles, so he used to install stereos and sound systems in vehicles before he joined the Air Force. So he has a lot of experience with taking off panels and running wiring, and then of course he also has the mechanical knowledge for under the hood. So this is something that he felt comfortable doing, but that we wouldn't necessarily recommend for your average DIYer. You'd probably want to go with a professional installation if you're not intimately familiar with working on cars. I know you're brainstorming. I still say that there's nowhere up there to put it, that this is a nice, flat, long, skinny surface right here.
I know.
And it wouldn't require you to run the stuff very far.
Yep. I was just trying to avoid that because it was in the weather.
I know, but that looks like a really good spot for it. Put that on camera.
Yeah, I want to get this. Because if it wasn't in the way, it would slide up under there.
A little ways, not far, because I mean you've still got this conduit. But you can use this conduit easy.
So I've mounted it.
This was our backup plan, since we knew the dimensions ahead of time. We knew that it wasn't going to fit under the seat, but we were hoping we could find a spot somewhere that was going to be out of the elements, because we do plan to have the top down and don't want to be worrying about, you know, is it raining or is it going to get wet. So this is not our #1 choice, but it is going to be completely out of the way. Yeah, it should be fine here. And then Josh doesn't have to run the cords too long, and there's also a conduit already there for the brake lights, so he can tap into that to run the cable.
We decided to install the Stealth control module right here on the sidewall. We had to modify like one little tab that was holding the wiring harness, but in all honesty, it was the easy way to do it. So there was a spot under the dash that I would have really loved to put this thing to keep it out of the weather and make sure it didn't get rained on, but that would have just added way more time and effort that I did not have the patience for. So right here it is. So all we did was install the module, and the module came pre-wired and it had the brake cable pre-attached to it, and we just ran this up to the factory wiring harness, down the pillar, and then under the floor to the front where the cable attaches to the brakes, and then the wires go up into the hood area.
Okay, so it says to pull steel cable through pulley and angle hole. Slip cable clamp over steel cable and slide down cable until it is against the angle hole.
Okay.
Pull steel cable tight and tighten cable clamp onto steel cable. Do not pull cable so tight that your brake lights are on or it depresses the brake pedal. Pull it tight, but not tight enough to turn the brakes on.
So the cable and the wires are just hidden under this plastic piece here. It was pretty straightforward to run. In any normal vehicle, it would have been the same situation. And then if you look right here, you can see the permanently installed brake cable.
All right, step 5 is done.
Next.
Step 6 is installing the all-in-one connector.
Okay.
So bag number C. Yeah, and all of those parts. Or did you already cooked it? So the first thing is to find a position on the front of the towed vehicle to put the all-in-one connector. Use hook and loop strips for assistance and install mounting bracket with self-tapping screws. So that's on the front. I think we need to do it as close to the center as we can, because we don't know where the hooks for the tow bar are going to go. It's too bad we don't have that coming on Monday. Oh, so that's all of step 6. You're just installing the connector on the front.
Okay.
And then step 7 is you're going to run the wires from the all-in-one to the components.
So we decided to install the 7-pin flat connector right in the middle because we weren't exactly sure where these were going to go first. So it's pretty straightforward. The brake body came with this really nice pin connector. I've seen a lot that are like the round 7 pins and stuff like that, but that would have taken up a lot of real estate here. So this is, it's kind of tucked away under the bumper. And the great part about the brake buddy is that the pull cable is integrated into the wiring harness. So if for some reason the Jeep does get disconnected from the RV and this cable gets pulled out, it automatically applies the brakes so that the vehicle will come to a stop safely.
Okay, so the safety, so on some of them the safety like Breakaway is a separate...
The breakaway cable, right.
Okay, it's a separate cable on some of them? Okay. So on this one, it's integrated.
Right. So it's integrated into the actual harness itself. And another great part about that is you can test the system with this dummy plug that they have installed. So if you plug this in and then pull it back out within 5 seconds, you can go into the Jeep and see that the brake pedal has applied itself. Okay, I actually need you to drop these. Where the fluorescent light is covering, there's a hole that goes straight down to the bottom, and there's some wires where you run down it. Should be close to the radiator. Like right here.
Yeah, I mean they're really mixed up. Bungee this thing to the ceiling. I'll be back. I gave you a light.
So under the hood here, so wires from the 7-pin connector go up through here. They come out with the factory wiring harness. So you can see right here, this is the battery charging module for the towed vehicle. So even though the key is turned forward to make sure the steering wheel doesn't lock, there's always a constant 12 volt coming into the vehicle to make sure that the battery stays topped off. And then there's also a vacuum pump right here. You can see around the wires. So the onboard Jeep battery is what runs this vacuum pump, and then that 12 volt signal also keeps the battery topped off from that.
Vacuum pump is here.
The purpose of the vacuum pump is to keep the braking system primed for a braking event. The vacuum pump gets its power supply from the actual battery, and then the battery charger is what keeps the battery topped off.
And why would you need that? It's because it's power braking?
Yeah, it's for the power brakes. So normally the engine is running, and then the vacuum pressure from the engine is what keeps your power brake system primed and ready for whenever you touch the pedal. And so without the engine running, you don't have that vacuum. So the vacuum pump is what applies the vacuum to the brake system and allows the brakes to activate themselves. Some other systems don't have the vacuum pump, and that's fine for one brake application. But after that, you have a it's kind of like a fluid lock on the brake system. So you need that vacuum pressure to keep the fluid cycled through.
is it up here?
This should be my last connection.
Are you working on the vacuum pump?
No, it's done.
Oh, it's done? Wow!
Yeah, you can see it.
Oh, you didn't put the check valve in?
Yeah.
That's what this is?
No, it came with check valves for different size hoses.
Gotcha.
Yeah, you can see it bolted in. Close to where I said.
Understand. What you doing?
I am about to connect the battery so we can test everything. Should be good to go except for cleaning up and putting the inside back together. Are you ready?
Sure.
Watch for smoke. All right, if you want to go around the side, I'm going to put the plug in. I'm going to take it back out, and it should apply the brakes.
Okay, so do the test.
All right, are you ready?
Yeah.
Good deal. We'll see the brake pedal go in, and then you can go to the tail lights.
Yep. Nice. Brakes on. Applied. And brake lights on. Yay!
And this should release it.
Yep. It's released. Okay, it's Jeep tow bar installation day 200.
All right. So this is the Curt tow bar that we decided to buy. It's a super simple setup. All you have to do is mount the brackets to the frame of the Jeep, and then this guy right here just gets put on with two super easy pins that just slide right in. So with the tow bar installed on the bumper, you can lift it straight up. We usually like bungee it to the grill here, and then you can drive around. I wouldn't recommend like doing a road trip with it, but if you just needed to do like a quick movement of the dinghy here.
All right, we are back to trying to install the brackets straight onto the bumper cover with the screws that go all the way through into the actual bumper where there's support, and we won't just be pulling a tiny piece of sheet metal off. This has been a saga, but we think we maybe, fingers crossed, finally have a solution. So we're gonna try to put some spacers. We're gonna use some nuts as spacers between the bumper cover and the bumper. So I know it's gonna be really hard to see. Let's see if I can get the brightness up. But there is a gap between this tube. So there's a tube here, and then it's hollow between that tube and this bumper cover. And so we need a spacer, because if we put any pressure as we start to tighten the bolts, it starts to bring this this bumper cover in. It like squishes it. So we need a spacer between to make sure that we're not just bending the bumper cover. So we've got the parts, we've got the hardware now. Josh went to the hardware store this morning, and we're gonna try it out. So we're talking about the bumper cover versus the like structural frame or bumper. So this is like the structural frame of the Jeep. So this is what you want to be putting you know, the pressure and the force of towing the vehicle on. You don't want to be putting it on this. So this is like what people think of as the bumper, but it's basically just a cover. And you don't want to be putting like structural pressure on this, because it's, I mean, it's okay, but it's not like super heavy duty. So we've got our brackets right here that we've drilled the holes, and so they'll go through the cover into the frame of the Jeep. And so now we're just trying to figure out, so this is what I was talking about. There's like a gap. So the bumper cover can't sit flush against this. So we're gonna have, you know, a pretty decent gap that we need to fill with something that can withstand pressure. So we're gonna use just nuts. So, you know, heavy duty, they're not gonna compress, just to fill the gap.
We had to do like a little bit of a creative setup here to get the mounting brackets installed on the frame of the Jeep. So there's a tube frame behind here, and then on top of this, what you actually see right here is the bumper cover. So I've seen a lot of videos of people installing this on the actual bumper cover itself without going through the frame. So just a word of advice, and just take this with a grain of salt, but I've been working with aircraft for 13 years. I have a bachelor's in aeronautics and a concentration in mechanical structures. You have to install this to the frame. Installing it to the actual bumper cover itself is like towing your vehicle with a cookie sheet. So make sure that the bolts go through the frame, and that way you have the most secure setup for braking and accelerating.
Okay.
Oh man, that was perfect.
You mean your wife has really good spatial awareness? You need to back up like 1 inch. A little more. Yep. Oh, you're supposed to put terminal grease on that.
Oh, hey. So here's the brake body control module. It's just mounted right here on the dash. You have to make sure that it's in line with the vehicle's motion so they can detect your inertial stop. And then this is actually the module that sends the information to the brake buddy to tell it how hard and when to apply the brakes. So all you have to do is connect it to a 12-volt power system, and then the Ford chassis that the Winnebago is built on was already pre-wired for a braking control system. So all you have to do is find the harness below and connect it to the brake control system.
So for us, that was behind the panel.
For us, that was it was kind of hard to find, but it was like up under the dash, close to where the emergency brake pedal is, or the parking brake, sorry. And so we kind of did the research on the internet, and we were like, all right, well, here's another freaking harness we gotta buy. And I pulled the manual out to kind of research like what harness it was. And when I opened the bag that Winnebago gave us with all the manuals in it, the harness was already inside the bag, already ready for you to install the Brake Buddy Stealth. So thank you, Winnebago, for including that. That would have been another $20 purchase and 3-day wait from Amazon.